So here we stopped. Lobh pravritir arabh karmanam ashamah spriha rajasyetani jayante vivriddhe bharatarshava. So when rajas grows, rajasi vivriddhe etani jayante, these are born. What are these? Lobh pravrittih arabh arambha karmanam ashamah spriha. So these are the qualities which are born with the increase of rajas in us. So that is, the translation of lobha is rather a desire, intense desire, or even, can be translated as greed, but not greed in terms of wanting to acquire, but also, yes, wanting to acquire. It's a kind of, from here, lobha, we have the word love, the same etymology. Love is lobha, from root lub to, in Russian will be любить, to love. So, but it is rather desiring strongly. So pravrittih, the constant activity, seeking impulsions, as Sri Aurobindo translates beautifully. Arambhah karmanam, the initiative of action. Ashamah, unrest, and spriha, desire. These all increase with increase of rajas. And then next, aprakashah apravrittih pramadah moha evacha tamasi etani jayanti vivriddhe kurunandana. And these are increasing when tamas is growing. This is aprakasha, nescience, that which is no light, literally, no illumination, aprakasha. Apravrittih, no activity, stop, inertia of some kind. Pramadach, negligence, and moha, delusion or bewilderment. These all grow when tamas grows. And now we are coming to the new verses. Rajasi pralayam gatva karma sangishu jayate tatha pralinach tamasi buddha yonishu jayate. So the one is born jayate. Oh, we are missing number 14. This is number 15. Oh, they skipped the page or something. Okay, I will open some other text because it's not the translation. I will read from here. Translation, yes, there is no translation there. So sorry. Let me open back it's wrong. So it's not wrong in the text, it's wrong in the translation. Translation belongs to the next. Okay? So Rajasi Pralayam Gatva, having gone, so the one is born attached to the karmas when in going to pralaya, going to dissolution, he goes in the rajas. So when one dies in the state of rajas activity, he is born with attachment to action. Let us say like this. So
explanation is given here. This is the explanation of this,
and
the explanation. They were kind of reversed.
Oh yeah, here, next one. Yes, it jumped to the next. Going to dissolution, when Rajas prevails, he is born among those attached to action. Even among those attached to action. If dissolved during the increase of tamas, he is born in the womb of being involved in nescience. So, well, this is something which earlier Krishna was mentioning, that it is very important in what state we leave the body. And Mother speaks about this also constantly, that the last moments of our life are very important. That's why they have priests in Catholicism, coming in to help you to drop the burden and to move forward higher into the higher possibilities in the future, most probably. Though they don't believe in the reincarnation, but somehow, most probably, secretly they do. Because they want to send you to heaven somehow. Maybe forever, to heaven or to... So the purpose of that final... what do you call it in English? There's a word.
Final unction.
When you speak to the priest all your sins and all your
confession.
Confession. The final confession is just to get rid of that burden and to be free to fly.
Yeah, but the final unction is the ceremony the priest performs when you're not expected to live.
Okay. Unfortunately, I was not born into this culture, so I don't know these elements. Yeah. Some of you may know, yes, coming from.
Can you give some example, Vladimir, please? I don't want to delay your class, but just maybe one or two example of this. If you're, going to disillusion when Rajas prevails, you're born to action. Like, are you born in a very active family? Is that what it means?
Yeah, well, they want to say that the environment which you choose, if in the activity you are leaving the body, that it may be that you will be kind of unconsciously sent to the, because we are all half consciously sent to the next reincarnation in this, from the state of the last moment in life. In that last moment in life, we have to, and our soul does it if we are peaceful enough, recapture our life, see the whole meaning of it, and make a plan of a new one. That making of a plan is more intuitive decision or aspiration towards something which was not realized in this life. Yeah? But for that you need to have an overview. It's a momentous kind of, when your soul is aspiring or drawn to particular experience, it becomes the initial plan of next reincarnation. And then, of course, when you leave and you go to the psychic world, there you make more thorough kind of plan and overview. But it will be done on the basis of that when you leave your body. So overview the previous life. Previous life is very important. It gives you the enough scope to decide for the next experience. Yeah? And it is not necessarily the higher state in kind of ordinary terms of our life. Yeah. So it's not that if you were some kind of servant, now you will be a master in the next life. It can be just the opposite. You were a master and you want to be a servant. Something in your soul wants to become a shoemaker, as Mother says somewhere. Yeah? You were a king before, now you want to experience how to be a shoemaker. It's a very attractive proposition for the soul. So in terms of human judgment of these things, of course, it's totally wrong, yeah? Because we think we have to only grow. By the way, the Buddhistic idea also, you grow from the lower to the higher in accordance to your samskaras, but lower and higher, it's a very relative thing. And in Buddhism, they know about it, yes? So it's also interesting. So maybe it's not totally fair to say that in Buddhism you have to develop into a higher and higher species according to your action. And if you're not developing, then you fall into lower and lower species. It's a general law, yeah? But not that you can cross. Maybe you can. I don't know. Truly speaking, I'm speaking out of my expertise. I don't know whether a human being can be born as an animal or something. In Jatakas, in Buddhistic Jatakas, yes, they do this. They say that you can be born.
Because they believe in the law of cause and effect as the overriding principle of life.
Right.
You know, if your deeds have not been very humane, then you might take birth in a lower form of life because they believe in that karmic consequences. I think that's a very major law in Buddhism, the law of cause and effect.
Right.
Could be, I don't know.
Yeah, it's more a warning to behave properly rather than it's the same as in Christianity that you will be born in hell forever and will be tortured forever. It's more a warning rather than the factual thing. So if you don't want to fall into lower, because to be born as a dog somewhere or as a deer, it's not so bad after all. It's much closer to the divine than to be born somewhere, you know. But I'm saying in general, yeah, so. I think we don't cross species-wise. Yeah? Only from the lower to the higher, most probably, when the soul has evolved enough, you can cross to another species. Suppose those who were dogs or cats, as Mother says about one cat, if you remember in the ashram, that it is ready and she is sure that it will be born. Its psychic is ready to be born in the human form. And that actually explains a lot of the crossing from one species to another, how evolution is taking place. Somebody was, we were discussing this in Savitri. Usually we imagine evolution as if this cat will evolve into some other cat. Yeah, it will not. The soul on that level of cat will evolve to the other species, to the human species higher. And then now the human species demand, the supramental pressing onto us, demands another form, not human form. And that will be created by nature because there is a need already to cross from this soul, human soul, to the higher form. And that form is not yet made, and it will be made by Prakriti. Prakriti will make it. Another form more suitable for higher consciousness. But it doesn't mean that all the human beings will travel there. It means only few who are ready will go there. It's like cats. Among cats, maybe few cats will go to human beings. But the rest of the cats will stay happily in their own species. This is something why we have so many species, yeah? Why all of them did not develop to something else. They developed into human beings, as Sri Aurobindo says. From the worm to the human being, that soul developed. But the forms which were holding that development of soul stay still. So it's amazing. Yeah? So the whole kind of ladder of evolution was created and it is kept. That's why we have elephants, and most probably that's why we have this extinction time, that so many species die out totally in this time. Within few years, you know, every day, I forgot how many dozens of species die out, you know. So it's amazing. We are in the period of the greatest extinction. Yeah? So what does it really mean from the evolutionary point of view? I'm just trying to...
Selection of the few, of those who are ready, like it's a selection.
Something, yeah. So I think all these species who were there, who were ready to accept the higher form, human form, or any higher animal form closer to humans, they took it. That's why we have such a huge increase of numbers of people. It's my thinking. I do not know. I never found an explanation for this. So we have already how many billions? 7 or 8 on planet. Yeah. So where do they come from? They had to develop from the lower species somehow. They cannot come from nowhere. Yeah. So 100 years back there were only 1 billion, now we have 8, and so many extinct species at the same time. So somehow this correlates with one and another, I think. So all those animals now are in this human form and do not know what to do other than to go to war, better nuclear, and that would be it. That's how they think. Putins and others, animals in the past.
Yes. Vladimir, do you remember Mother remarking on a person for whom it was their first human birth? This was a person who had some developmental difficulties, I think, but she remarked that it was their first human birth.
Yeah, interesting. This is very, very important also to observe somebody. And we have, in occultistic sense, we have on our hand how many reincarnations we had, these lines here. They judge us by these lines. So in this kalpa, or in this manvantara, I would say, or in this yuga rather. So, but yes, somebody was saying that there are peoples on Earth and there are regions which are recently coming from the Stone Age, only, and in their development. It has nothing to do with wrong or right. It is as it is, So you can imagine that if you like Mordor in the Lord of the Rings. There is a Mordor somewhere. And they have it's not outwardly, they can be very beautiful Barbies and Kens, but inwardly they are orcs. Yeah? And they don't know what to do with this form. They just follow the desire, the impulse, and this and that, and self-assertion. And whatever higher philosophy you bring to them, they will not even feel that it makes any sense. Because they just came to this form, and you propose them already another form. They are not ready for it. They have to settle. And that's what Mother says, that we just recently as human beings received this capacity to talk. That's why we talk non-stop, because we enjoy the very talking. Animals could not talk. Now we can say everything. So you can see that we are not very far from animals. Funny. Yeah, this is a big question of evolution and species, why species stay and why evolution takes place still, because the soul evolves and demands new forms for the body, for the embodiment. All right.
Vladimir.
Yeah.
In the context of Bhagavad Gita, it's not the psychic being, isn't it? Is the Antaratman, or what? How we mention the?
It is the psychic being which evolves, yes. And the whole nature has it. Mm-hmm.
Psychic being is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita.
The psychic being is a term coined by the Mother, actually.
Yeah, and then here, how we in the context of Bhagavad Gita, how we mention the psychic being.
We speak about them as an embodied one, as Purusha, as Jivatma, as so many words for this. Dehi, yeah, the one who has the body. There is someone who has the body. Yeah. There is Kshara Purusha and Akshara Purusha. There is Purushottama behind them. So this is all these Atman, self. These are all the terms which are meant to indicate this inner being.
But not for the inmost being. There is not any mention about the inmost being. Between the Jivatman and the
Jivatman and Antaratman is the terms of the later philosophy, yes, which is not yet in the Gita. Though he speaks about Jiva, yes. Jiva is used in the... If you're asking about terminology, then Antaratman and Jivatman are much more prominent in the classical Sanskrit. This is epic period still.
And in the Bhagavad Gita, what part, I don't know how can I mention, because if there is not the proper word for that, one part, what is the part of the being who transcend this life and has the possibility to have another life?
Purusha.
Purusha. Then, if we are talking about Purusha, is who takes the reincarnation.
Yeah.
I think doesn't matter what is happening with the outer being here, the attitude of the personality.
Absolutely.
This is not attached, of is hate or no hate, or peaceful or not peaceful, because Purusha is Purusha.
Yeah.
I don't know why in this sloka is mentioned like this.
Yeah,
Because
it is about gunas.
it's a metaphor, because if it's a metaphor, okay, it's easy to understand. It's a metaphor to explain the consequence of the gunas. But I don't know if we can use this sloka like an statement of the reincarnation. I'm not really agree with that. this kind of reincarnation, because I know in integral yoga the position about the reincarnation of the psychic being, and I think this is quite different.
I think I tried to explain, maybe you joined later, exactly this how it is happening in the view of integral yoga, as I know it, what I learned from Sri Aurobindo and the Mother, and also from the Gita, that at the end of life, when you see the whole overview of life, your soul will make a decision what it wants to experience. Yeah? These gunas, this overview, will create some kind of uprising or some intuition or intention within the soul. It is not you in the mind or you in the vital desiring. It is some kind of aspiration. Oh, now I need this. I got this. I understood this. Now I need this. This I didn't understand. With this intention, you die. And then you make when you go to the psychic plane, you have time enough to make a plan. What do you want to experience? What you are looking for? And then because of your connection to Yama and Yami, you remember long ago we spoke about these two. So there will be a correlation of you making a plan and the environment on Earth, which will respond to that intention. And that's what he says. You will be born among those who are attached to karma if you left your body in the state of rajas. So it means most probably that your soul chooses to look at the future experience in terms of rajas. So you will need to find an environment suitable for your experience. Next. Of course, in Buddhistic terms, there is nothing of the kind. Yeah, you are kind of mechanically defined by sanskaras, close to it. It's very close to what Gita says, yes? But there is no this twist which I bring in, yeah? That the soul sees. There is no such thing. Yeah? There's something like samskaras will be defining your future reincarnation without you even wanting it. You will be like a fact of some cause of previous. And it has its value and weight and truth. And many people, exactly these people who came from the animals, they will be defined exactly this way. 99.9%. Only 1% of them, or 0.1% of them, would be doing something consciously. It will be mechanically. Yeah? Yes.
I also felt that it is, yes, it is the Purusha that goes, is reincarnated or is born again. But the Purusha not in isolation. The Purusha picks up those attributes of Prakriti, the gunas, that will help him evolve in the next birth. So over here, the mention of the gunas is very, very valid. The role that the gunas play when we are leaving, because they determine the gunas with which we will be reborn. The Purusha is not born in isolation. The Purusha picks up those aspects of nature that will help it to evolve in the next birth. So gunas play an important part till we have completely, become evolved beings and supramental. Till then, I think the gunas play a part in defining our swabhava, our nature, prakriti.
There is an interesting subtlety which Jayashri brought forward, is that we do not know what gunas are, first of all, yes? We just speak about them as something which belongs to Prakriti, away from Purusha. But if we listen to the mother, and she would say that actually the psychic presence in nature is, in the earthly nature, is everywhere, in plants, on earth. Earth itself is a psychic being of the universe. Yeah? So within these gunas and their play, there is some psychic presence or change or modality for our soul, reincarnated soul. So it's not just empty dead force which we will take onto ourselves when we are born as souls. There is some connection between the Antaratman, Antaryamin, this psychic being, not Jivatma, but psychic being, the projection of Jivatma, and the earthly nature. And this play is ongoing between Yama and Yami. Yami is on this side, on earth, and Yama is on the side of psychic beings world. And between them there is a total correlation, which is very mysterious. And our soul is actually acting between these two. Yeah? Goes to the place of rest and making a plan, coming on earth, fulfilling a plan, making a new plan, going there, resting, coming back. It's a constant ongoing fulfillment. Yeah? Using earth as the means for growth of the spirit. Earth as the means of growth for the spirit, which is difficult to imagine, but it is exactly that.
That's a very important new idea for me, the Earth as a psychic being of the universe. But also about 2 minutes ago, I think you said that Mother introduced the term psychic being. I thought Sri Aurobindo had introduced the term using psychic from the Greek sense.
Yeah, Mother brought it to him and he started to use it. He was using psychological and differently, but not as a psychic being, only when Mother arrived from that time on. So we can, well, we can debate this. We can ask somebody. Maybe
Yeah.
somebody will help us for sure to know. But after the mother arrived, he started to use this more and more, and the whole psychic transformation took kind of shape
Mhm.
from 1914 when they met with the mother and had first interactions. And
Okay.
even somebody said that his psychic yoga started from mother's arrival.
Mm. Yeah, I saw the term psychic being used in the Arya writings. It's there in the synthesis of yoga.
Yeah, but Arya started with the mother, actually. We should not forget. Yeah, that is the mother and Paul Richard,
Yeah.
who came and actually forced Sri Aurobindo to write some articles for the Arya. So if they would not do it, he most probably he would be doing his yoga without writing.
I just wanted to say something about what my experience is. I just turned 74 about a week ago, and I have caught myself recently, and probably within the last few years, creating my next lifetime. It's really unconscious, and then all of a sudden I realize I can't really do this in this lifetime. I'm going to have to, hold this over, because I mean, I work every day. I do, I create, I try to do all the things that I'd like to do. And I have plans, and a lot of plans for this lifetime, but I have so many plans. I realize that I'll probably never complete them all. And I just caught myself creating my next lifetime. And so I just wanted to say that, but I also wanted to ask, how is the earth the psychic being of the universe?
This is the mother's explanation. By the way, you can find it in Agenda. It's profound. After that, I kind of understood. She says about, I kind of understood that all the beings which are in the universe, they are like whatever, great beings, great gods, smaller gods, all kind of creatures, spirits, rakshasas, asuras. They are not evolutionary beings. They are typal beings. Yes?
Right.
But to change and to evolve, to really change in consciousness, they have to take the earthly body. It is only through this interaction with earth and embodiment in the physical body that any change can be effectuated, made. We are so lucky to be on earth, because only here the real change can take place.
Wow.
When we leave the body, there is no way we can change.
I understood the physical body is very important, but I haven't really understood that Earth is the only place where one could be born physically in order to psychically evolve.
Yes, absolutely. This is the whole reason of our embodiment, because we want to
Right.
grow.
Mm-hmm.
And there is only one way to grow, is to take all the planes of consciousness into one being. And only then things can change. If you lose one plane, they cannot change. You will hang like a typal being somewhere there waiting for your opportunity to make some change. So now we are here in this body. If you even think, what is this miraculous formation, this embodiment of consciousness in this kind of thing? It's a total miracle.
Yes, truly, it is.
Every time I wake up and I wonder, wow, I'm still here in the body. The body is still here, functional. It moves. It's amazing.
Mhm.
That helps explain why Sri Aurobindo took the term integral yoga. It implies integrating the different planes.
Yeah.
That's one way of looking at it. Certainly not the only one.
Yeah. But this is for transformation of earthly nature, transformation of the fallen emanations. Yes, we are here to do the sacrifice. We are the sacrifice. Huh? We are those who came down to make changes within this unconscious fallen nature through our sacrifice. And earth is our mother. She holds us here, gives us force, gives us the psychic force. And Mother describes this about plants and especially flowers. She says the psychic presence in the flowers is much stronger than in many human beings.
Yeah.
Because they are not even aware, and flowers are totally open to whatever. If you look at these beautiful trees, which are, full of flowers, one day and next day, all the flowers have fallen on the ground. They are totally giving themselves without any reservation to the light, to the truth. They do not play the game. Yeah.
Yeah, can I just say something? Because
Mm.
I've really had an experience with flowers lately. I had my neighbor really grows a lot of dahlia flowers, and I don't. I do grow flowers, but I haven't tried dahlias yet. And I found a little dahlia flower in amongst my flowers the other day, just a little dahlia flower, and somehow it got I went back the next day to water and all that, and somehow it got cut off from its stem. So I thought, gee, this is really interesting, because it was still almost ready to bloom and everything. And so it hadn't bloomed yet, and I just put it in some water, cut off the stem and put it in some water, and I offered it to Mother, and it just bloomed out beautifully. It just, the consciousness within, it was just like, it just made its way from my neighbor's garden to my garden. It flew. Some bird must have really dropped the seed, but anyway, I felt the aspiration in this flower. I really did. It was just a beautiful experience.
This is exactly this conscious contact with the psychic nature, which is everywhere on earth, in the greenery, the soma, this delight, the ambrosia. Immortality is here in the body, in this flowers. I had also very similar experience in Pondicherry. I had the whole garden on the top of the roof open to the sun, and you know how in Pondicherry during this summertime how it is burning from the sky. So I had to leave for 3 weeks. So, and I left, and then I came back, and all the flowers, all the plants were totally dried up. Nothing was left of them, just only sticking something dead. But one pot was fully flowering. And I thought, what is this? How is that even possible? Maybe somebody put the water. There was nobody there. I know, I looked and went. And then I noticed that it was standing on the bucket, which I had, aluminium bucket with the sand, which I took from the samadhi. It's a miracle I can't forget.
Wow. So the sand was holding the water. Is that what?
No, it was closed, and the pot was standing on the closed sand from samadhi, and it was totally
from
alive.
Samadhi.
Yes, when they were changing the sand in samadhi, I received one pot.
Yes.
And I put it, I was keeping it in the locked aluminium, this locker, and I put it there. And on the top, I put the flower because it was.
Oh, I see. Yes.
So it survived. It survived without water. This I cannot explain. I'm telling you, and I don't believe it even now. But it was exactly the experience. And then I understood this as the sand of samadhi.
Yes.
psychic presence of, in earth, which kind of nourished spiritually the plant.
Yes. Very nice story.
Yes, and this psychic presence is not formed yet into psychic being. This we have to also understand. It is more presence. It's like everywhere. Yeah? But when you take a form, shape, it starts shaping in you some kind of specific, unique attitude, which is psychic, yeah? And help you to form yourself into being. Psychic being is a very rare event on Earth. There are not many developed psychic beings. We have psychic presence, feeling, some kind of sense of it, some kind of spark around which something is being formed, but not yet a being. Yeah? Being means totally conscious, ready to step forward and to take charge of our mental, vital, and physical being, which still will take some time.
Yes.
Yes, that Earth is the only place in the universe where you can really change and grow. Yeah? Gods cannot do it. If they want to change and grow, they have to take their earthly body.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
The concept of psychic being is not really fully developed in the Bhagavad Gita. Is that right?
In that sense, as we are talking about it, maybe not. Yes. It doesn't make emphasis on it as we are talking today. Yeah. But it is there. For example, here, Rajasi Pralayam Gatva, when you go in the state of Rajas into the dissolution of the body, you will be born among those who are attached to the action. What does it mean when you go out of the body in the time of Rajas? What does it really mean? Is it mechanical? Or it is conscious? Or you are aware of it? Or what does it mean? It's not unpacked. Yeah. So I am unpacking it in my way, saying that when you see that the meaning of your life and your intention is created in a sense which will drive you to the action, that is your preference, then you will be born among those who are attached to action. I don't take it mechanically. Though we look at nature as a mechanical device, as automatic. But here there is someone who is born. Yeah? So someone with these gunas, as Jayashri said rightly, we don't know what gunas are, huh? Really. It's that maybe those gunas is psychic presence of some kind, which modifies our growth constantly, huh? And helps us to understand ourselves. Maybe that is the form of force which is constantly operating here.
Well, the question of how our environment is shaped by our concept of self and our attachment to action and the objects of senses is one of the central questions of the Bhagavad Gita. It's the basis of the whole detachment. And for me, the biggest or a major obstacle in being able to completely let go of personal attachment to action, authorship of action, is, well, if I'm not acting, then who is? It's just saying Prakriti or nature is carrying on all of my action and your action and the action of billions of other people and other beings, trillions of other beings. You want to have some more specific place to so some more specific authorship of action, not just Prakriti in general, but just like we have countless individual manifestations of everything that our senses inform us of. We have countless beings that we want to attribute action to. So in pre-scientific communities, at least this may be the scientific bias, they spoke of beings, the spirits possess, the spirit possession. That's, the explanation for mental illness. But at least that gives some kind of local entity that impels certain people to do things that may not be in their best interest or in anyone's best interest. So I'm just wondering, what do Sri Aurobindo and the Mother say about who's really carrying out our action? Who are the instruments of Prakriti that make us seek some actions and not others? Who are the driving forces that are really acting through us to effectuate Prakriti's actions?
Yeah,
for us?
gunas. Gunas. And notice we are moving to this beautiful section of Jnana Yoga. This is Jnana Yoga section where you have to realize your unborn self, and that realization of your unborn self shows you what is really happening on the level of Prakriti, that gunas operate. Gunas are making you, the soul, born in a particular environment for particular activities and so on and so forth. So the Prakriti, when you said this, that the point of separating Purusha from Prakriti and viewing it as the doer, not you are the doer, tells me also that Prakriti is not just a mechanical doing.
Well, that's an excellent point. So in Sankhya, you could say Prakriti is mechanical, even though there's a reflection. There's consciousness Prakriti reflected in the Akshara Purusha becomes the Akshara Purusha, the consciousness. Would you call that the consciousness of nature?
Okay. Absolutely.
And there's got to be a big reason that 2.5 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, all of chapter 14 is titled the 3 gunas. A lot of chapter 17, the longest chapter, is about the 3 gunas and breaking it down into different phases of our life. Chapter 16 is all the good and evil tendencies, the demonic and Daivic, or divine tendencies. I'm looking for something. We don't experience the gunas directly, in terms of people or animals. We say the dog bit the boy. Well, we can point the finger at the dog, but was there some kind of instrument of Prakriti that impelled the dog to bite the boy, or whether one boy bit another boy, or on and on. We always, there's something very fundamental in our personalities that wants to find, it wants to point the finger at a real doer.
Yes, we want to capture the form separate from other forms and say this is the reason for what is happening. But truly speaking, gunas are everywhere all the time, causing everybody to react to everybody in a specific way. So you can see that Prakriti is not mechanical only. As Sri Aurobindo would say, that Prakriti, first, you see Prakriti as mechanical. This is first separation of Purusha, when you become a witness of what is happening in spite of you, or beyond you, so to say. You are like in the movie, everything is taking place, and you are viewing it without being part of it, separated from it. But this is only the first step. The second step, you see that you're not just a viewer. You also, we spoke about this, Anumanta, you are giving sanctions for certain movements. Why? Wait a minute. There's something drift away from all this concept of observer and Sakshi to the one who is giving sanctions to movements in Prakriti. And then finally you become the one who is the Lord, Ishvara, and she becomes your Shakti. So she is the part of Purusha. Yeah, as Shakti part of Ishvara. Only in the first stage of our discovery, these are stages of discovery. If we look at this from this point of view, we would have, Mother even didn't like the separation of Purusha from Prakriti. She said this is all old ideas. Purusha, Prakriti, there is no Purusha in Prakriti. Yeah? Even that, to that extent. Yeah? Why? Because of exactly this what we are discussing now. How come that, where are these qualities, gunas, how they cause everything? Because this is the spiritual force. This is the Shakti.
Well, she talked a lot about group souls, nation souls, and also about animal souls.
Yes.
So, but there must be a lot more other types of kind of collective souls. If we have these disciplines of, for example, you study sociology and you start to think, well, we're all created by our environment, by our social environment. And then you get into other academic disciplines, and you have biological determinism in the biology department, and chemical determinism, the chemistry department, and so on forth. But I'm looking for what kind of abstract, non-physical, or you might say subtle, souls did Mother and Sri Aurobindo talk about. I've mentioned two, animal souls and nation souls. There also seems to be something associated with languages, a certain ethos in each language.
Yes, this is also interesting what you mentioned about groups and these species, because they are all earth related.
Yeah, because there's so many nature, the plant souls, the tree souls. The oaks have one nature, the cacti another nature, and you get into archetypes
and not only and human beings interacting. There is another nation soul which interacts with a particular geography, a particular landscape, rivers, trees, gives names to them, has relations with them, very subtle relations, talking to them, and they're talking back. And this altogether, this psychic love and relations on earth between nature and human beings and groups which communicate about this love with nature through languages, developing languages. It's a very complex situation on earth, which helps us to develop that embodied being, yes, which he wanted to be.
That's one of the beauties of the Puranas and the Itihasas, is that there's this freer communication between types. Yudhishthira has his great conversation with the Yaksha of the lake, that the Yaksha controlling the lake, where his thirsty brothers one by one took a drink and went into some kind of near-death state that only was released. They were released from their death-like state when Yudhishthira answered all these deep philosophical questions very
You remember
directly.
what was the question? We had a webinar on this even.
Yeah.
The question was, what is that? Losing which you lose nothing.
Yeah, the desires.
Yeah, the desire.
Yeah, but that there were a lot of other questions that may have been the capstone. But anyway, so you've given me a little idea of these other levels that may help explain why we're not really the great actor in our body that we grow up thinking we are. I'm just
Not yet, not yet. Until
Yeah.
the Purusha is becoming Ishvara and she becomes Shakti, then we become immortal beings who are totally in charge of our own nature. And this is the aim of integral yoga, by the way. But on the way, we are still half human, half animal, half divine beings, so to say, half beast, half God, as Sri Aurobindo says in Savitri, half beast, half God. So in between, we are traveling, we are travelers, constantly evolving. But thank you for these beautiful insights. Yeah.
but when when we reach that totally realized state, um, the are the actions still carried out by these other instrumentalities of nature, or and we're just the consenter with the Anumanta and Sakshi?
Yes, later what happens, yes, when we are out of this, from species to species, Mother describes beautifully that in each species there is some kind of limit of conscious experience. Yeah? Like, for example, you are in an elephant body. You can evolve to certain degree of certain qualities. Then your soul demands different instrument. Yeah, it cannot use elephant anymore. Elephant developed to a certain extent to the top of its capacity, and then your soul demands more. You are the cleverest elephant on earth, and then you don't want to be elephant anymore because you see the limitations. So you make a kind of a demand from nature. I want to be higher. And nature puts you into some other body, which she develops or not yet. In this case, transformation into the supramental body is not yet taking place because we don't have the body, the next body. But it will. Nature will develop. This is the whole point. She is the Shakti. She will make it for us, for this inner consciousness.
Yeah, so is the agenda the best place to dig up these goodies?
Yes, definitely. You just can also type and suppose you want to know something, some word or transformation or consciousness or whatever, and you can browse through. In this case, you can type evolution of species and you will find immediately references.
Vladimir, what I understand about the relation of the gunas, what you was asking about how our gunas work or where are coming from. I think even all nature becomes from consciousness, and then it could be gunas faculties of consciousness as well.
I think so. Yeah, it is consciousness in action, in time and space, gunas. And that's why they're so mysterious. We cannot catch them, but we know about them somehow. Yeah?
Could it be that once one contacts one's psychic being and having that consciousness, we just automatically become one with the gunas?
Yeah, we are one with the gunas always.
Always.
Yeah,
But
only
I mean,
we are not aware of them, yes.
Yeah, consciously.
We are not conscious yet of that we have already even a free will from the mind. We can change from tamasic state to rajasic at will, an opposite way. We can force gunas to work for us. We already have the Purusha entering into the spiritual action of Prakriti. We have contact. So that's why we can do this remember and offer, surrender yourself, because gunas are there. So we can direct them. We can become more and more sattvic. That's the demand of the Gita. become sattvic, become in this equilibrium and harmony with yourself, inner and outer self, and through that find your inborn self. Because otherwise, if we are out of equilibrium, we give away our Purusha's awareness to Prakriti, and she will act as she wants, not as we want. Great. Okay, we can stop here. Unfortunately, we didn't do much, but it was a great discussion. We always have nice discussions. I will close with mantra. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Hari Om.